it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm sharing a layout for Bramble Fox. And I'm using one of the title perspectives from the February Fox box. I've also got some of the mini heart perspectives from the store on this layout. I think it's the Cool Hearts set. And I'm also going to be using Foxcut 28, which is one of the Bramble Fox stencils. I was in the mood for quite a minimalist look today with lots of white space on the page. I love white space on a layout. I think at heart I am a less is more kind of scrapbooker, and I always set out with the intention of having a minimalist look on the page, but sometimes get a bit carried away adding things, and then I keep adding and I end up with more on the page than I'd initially intended. And things get kind of overcrowded and lost when you put too much on a page, I find. So today I'm stripping it right back and keeping it really simple and minimalistic, so that hopefully everything on the page can kind of sing a little bit. And I'm keeping to a really simple colour scheme as well of blue and orange. Now, blue and orange are opposite each other on the colour wheel. And if I'm honest, I don't 100% understand or remember the colour wheel, but I do remember reading and learning that the colours that are opposite each other on the wheel are meant to kind of contrast and complement each other or something along those lines. I briefly remember it from GCSE art, and it was orange and blue were opposite and go together really well and complement each other. I think it was red and green go together, and I think it was yellow and purple were the other ones I remember. Probably something I could spend hours researching and looking into, but it wouldn't get me anywhere. But I do remember blue and orange going together really well. So that's the colour scheme I'm going for today. I've pulled out Paige Evans' Wonders collection for my patterned papers. So this diamond paper is beautiful, and I really wanted to have diamonds on the page. And this paper, obviously having diamonds on it, lent itself really well to that. And not only because it had tiny diamonds, but because it then had the lines for me to trim along to make different sized diamonds, if that makes sense. So I've got the larger one in the centre there with my photo on top, and then I've got a couple smaller and keep getting smaller until I've just got some little single diamonds. And I'm going to bring in the orange here. So I've added a couple of the puffy word stickers for my title to make it fun everyday life. It's just a photo of my little boy on holiday last year. We were staying with my parents on the Isle of Wight because they live there now. And it started off, the weather was a bit pants this day, so we just walked down to the local park in their village, and we were the only people there. It was lovely, and then within about half an hour of being there, it really heated up and turned into a lovely day, and he was just living his best life really in the park. So it's just like one of those photos, nothing particularly special, but he was just loving everyday life. So I thought that was a really nice way to document that with that title. Now I'm pulling in some florals here. These are from Coco Vanilla Studios' Sunkissed collection. I'm kind of using all my favourite collections from last year really. And I love these florals. They sold out really quickly the first time around, and then Paper Made's got some restocks, and I think I bought about 3 or 4 packs because I couldn't bear the thought of being without them. And I've got loads of the collection left, so I've got plenty of these florals. And I've just pulled out the orange and blue and kind of turquoisey coloured ones. I've decided I'm going to trim the white border off them all though. Some layouts I've done this, some I haven't. It kind of depends on the look and the feel of the layout whether I do it or not, but I just felt like with this layout the white didn't really go, so I'm just going to take some time to trim all of that off. I have got some layers of white and black cardstock behind my photo. I've printed it black and white because there was a lot of green in the background of the photo, the grass and the trees didn't really go with my colour scheme. So because I've printed it black and white and I haven't got any other black and white elements on the page, by adding those cardstocks behind my photo, I just felt helped kind of just make the photo stand out a bit more, make it pop, and kind of draw in a bit more black and white so that it wasn't just a random black and white photo. So I've just skipped through the rest of me cutting that border off. I've also fussy cut some of the butterflies from the Paige Evans Wonders collection, again in blues and oranges. I'm going to have those on my layout. I'm just going to stick the bodies of those down and have the wings flapping. It's just something I love to do with moths and butterflies on layouts. Makes it look like they've just flown onto the page and just kind of naturally landed there with their wings free. So I just use my glossy accents down the centre of that body. And I'm getting these florals stuck down with some foam pads behind them. I'm going to stick everything else, like all the diamonds, I'm going to stick down flat. I'll put some foam behind my photo, but I do like to have dimension on my pages. So I'm going to stick the diamonds down flat, but then I will raise all those flowers up with foam just to bring in some dimension. And here's where I'm bringing in this Foxcut 28 stencil, and I love this. It almost looks a bit like a firework explosion, I suppose, but I thought it matched really well with that diamond paper that I've used in the background. So each of the diamonds has got almost like a firework or a star shape on them, and it really reminded me of this stencil, and I knew I wanted to use this stencil today, so that was kind of what led me to use this diamond pattern paper, just because I thought the pattern was quite similar, which was quite handy. And I'm using a Distress Oxide, it's Ripe Persimmon, this one, lovely orange colour. And I'm just using a blending brush, you can see it over on the right there. These work fab with the Bramble Fox stencils, and they really get in all the little intricate parts of the stencils. I did have some black handled ones before that had kind of a natural coloured bristle on them, and I kept messing up, and like I'd use one for blue and then I'd go to use it for yellow and realise I hadn't washed it. So I recently bought some new ones that have got white bristles and coloured handles, which are fantastic because now I can kind of dedicate one to each colour ink pad, which works really well, and no chance of me muddying my colours up. So I've used an orange ink, so I've got my kind of peachy orange coloured brush over there. And I'm just kind of moving the stencil around, seeing where I might like to have the stencil work. I don't want anything too drastic, I just wanted a little subtle amount of that stenciling showing underneath those diamonds. So you'll see I did a couple of bits there just to make sure it showed. And when I'm happy I've got that in place, I'm going to get my Perspectives title stuck down. This one's from the February Fox box, and as per usual I have used my glossy accents to stick it in place. That stuff's really strong and it dries quite quickly as well, so give it a few seconds and that perspective will be in place, and that won't move at all. That will stay nice and stuck down in my albums when I eventually file this layout sometime in 2024 maybe. I think I've got about 300 layouts sat in pizza boxes at the moment waiting to be filed. It does need to be done, but then when I've got the time in the evenings to do it, I'd rather be scrapbooking rather than filing layouts, so I just put more in pizza boxes and stack them away and forget about them, but I will eventually get around to it one day. I'm also going to add a couple of the mini heart perspectives to this layout. This is the Cool Heart set from the store, and I'm just going to add a couple of the kind of frosted blue ones, like a pale blue colour. I'm just going to have two over by my title and then one up at the top left of the page, just to kind of balance it out a little bit, just so that there's someone kind of either side going diagonally through the layout. And again, I'll stick those down with my glossy accents. And I've decided I want to have another butterfly on the page. I've got two orange ones and one blue, so I'm going for a blue one up at the top there. I just felt like that space was a bit open. I didn't want to add another diamond cluster of pattern papers or anything, it just needed something small. So I'm just going to go with one more of these butterflies, and you can see I like to have them at different angles across the page, so they're not all facing the same way. And now I'm just going to finish the page off with some splatters. I'm going to mix a few products and try a couple. There was a Shimmers Vibes I tried there, but it wasn't really the right shade of blue. I've now pulled out a Lindy's Starburst, a couple of different shades of blue, and I'm mixing those together and splattering them on. I'm still not entirely sure that's the right shade of blue, but as I've got it on my mat, I go ahead with it there. I think I'm going to bring in that Ripe Persimmon Distress Oxide as well and add some orange splatters. Yep, here we go. Again, just smishing that down on the packaging, adding a little bit of water and then adding some splatters. And you might notice in the close-ups I got a nice big orange splatter on my little boy's face in the photo. Sometimes if that happens I will reprint my photo and stick it on top. I don't always bother, if I'm honest. It doesn't really take away from the photo. I can still see the photo clearly. It just goes to show I had fun with my splatters. And I've also come in with another Distress Oxide, I think that's Mermaid Lagoon, just to add some more blue splatters because I felt that colour matched the papers a bit better. And that's me done today. So I do think I managed to stick to that minimalist look. I didn't go too mad, although it is really easy to keep adding stuff. I think I did stick to it today, and I love the look of having the design over on the left hand side with all that white space around it. So thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this layout, a nice simple one from me today. I'll pop some links in the description box below to the Bramble Fox store, the Foxbox subscription page, and also our Bramble Fox Friends Facebook group. Do head on over and check that out and join if you aren't already a member. But thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.